You can trace that when you're writing common entrance, you were scared. How am I going to enter secondary school? What kind of secondary school are they going to put me? Am I going to get the school I really want? That fear, you overcame it because you come to that phase and then you grew to another one.
In Nigeria, we crave for success. Everybody wants to be successful, but a lot of people struggle with the fear of self-doubt. I believe that one of the challenges a lot of people have for not pursuing their purpose, even for some they don't even know it, but for some do know what this purpose is. For some they know what they ought to do, but the fear of what people will say. So I want to ask, has there been any point in your life that you've experienced self-doubt or roadblocks, and what kept you motivated? How did you push through those areas in life?
Well,
over to you, sir.
I feel that just as I said, at some point in our lives, everybody, including myself, would always experience fear. And actually, they separate between people that are outstanding and the people that are not. It is their ability to overcome the fears in their heart. Because the truth is, there will always be fear. There will always be fear. And if you overcome one, another will come. For an example, we can trace that when you're writing common entrance, you were scared. How am I going to enter secondary school? What kind of secondary school are they going to put me? Am I going to get the school I really want? That fear, you overcame it because you come to that phase and then you grew to another one. Junior school, for those that want to go to school of science or you want to go to specialized school, when you're for your senior school, you have to start asking, am I going to get into this school? Am I going to, when you write your junior WAEC or whatever, am I going to achieve this thing? Then you get to senior school, and the fear is, will I pass my WAEC? Will I pass my NECO? Will I get it once and for all? I mean, and as you get that, you pass your WAEC, you will add fear again about your JAM. After fear about your JAM, you got a JAM, you have fear again about your post-JAM, your post-UTME. And after then, you have fear again about getting the course you want to get. After then, you have fear of finishing with first class. Then later I think, let me just finish at all. You have fear if I'm going to finish at all. Then, after you finish at all, you have fear where they will post you for your NYSC. Will they post me to my degree? Will they do this thing, do this thing? And after that, you're going to have fear, will I get the best woman to marry? Will I get the best of the jobs? Will I do these things? Will I do those things? Life is actually, success is actually overcoming many fears. So when you overcome the fears that you are faced with at the moment, that is when you can achieve success in that, in that particular aspect of your life. So fear, as I said, is a normal thing for our lives. So overcoming fear is actually what makes up the entire composition of any successful person, you see. So as for me, I've been through several fears. The one I just told you, I've been through it. The normal fear that we have. Am I going to do this? Am I going to be successful? Am I going to have been through that? And at the fear of what will people say, man, it took a lot for me to overcome that. And, I remember and for me, if you are not a believer, you have to pardon me because I cannot talk about my life without talking about what the Holy Spirit and Jesus has told me to do. I've always followed the instructions and the things that I feel God is calling me to do. I remember during my NYSC, during my IT, I was still in founder level at that time. I had an inspiration to start a network of believers. I would teach them, and then I went to my fellowship president then, President Maiwa Omishore, and then I told him, I said, I would like to use our fellowship for fortnight meeting where I get to train people on spirituality, these things that we do now. And I remember he told me, no problem. Anytime I want to use it, it's okay. And then, I believe I had the influence to call people to come together. And did you even know that I went for a retreat, a personal retreat because of that? I went and I prayed, I fasted, I trusted God to empower me, as we call it, so that I can be able to drive this vision. I did everything. In the third day of my retreat, the Lord spoke to me. And he told me all the amazing things and the things that are going to happen, the testimonies and the miracles that he's going to do through that meeting. But you see, I did not even start, because after the retreat, I looked at my hands. I was thinner than this, and I used this. Is what I actually do. I'll use these other fingers to hold my hand. I'll be like, this tiny boy. That's what I did after I said, this tiny boy. Who's going to believe me? Who's going to tell me? Who's going to say that they think that this guy they do too much? And that was why I did not start the things that God has placed in my heart. Even after all the evidence, even after all the promises, I did not even get started. And I remember what God needed to do that time was that I woke up the next morning, after a few weeks, I woke up that morning and the Lord told me, from today, I want to teach you how to walk by faith. And what happened after that? It's actually a story for another day. Because the fear of what people would say prevented me and stopped me from entering into the purpose of God for me. So I had to backdate 3 years after that. Is it 3 years? 2016, 2020, 2021, 2022. 4 years after then for me to now start that same assignment that God has told me to do. And that's the church we have today. 4 years back, 4 years after that incident. Now, what I'm saying to you today, the fear of what people will say will always be there. The fear of what people will say will always be there. But as an individual, that I understand assignment, that I understand the things that God has placed in you, you must do everything to ensure that you are not overwhelmed by this fear, because it will always be there. So I've been challenged with it. As a matter of fact, when we even started church, I had doubt. I spoke to a mentor and I said that God will have me to do church, to do ministry. And the next question he asked me is, what kind of platform? He said, you can do ministry on your WhatsApp or your Instagram, on these things. And actually what God wanted me to do was to gather people, was to bring people. A church was to have a church. So the question was, how many persons are going to believe me? And then I remember how I was able to overcome the fear was to come into, as a matter of fact, I did not know that was what I needed to do, because it got to the point that God needed to threaten me. God told me that time, I was on bike, and God told me, this is only reason you are living. If you do not do this, you have no reason to live. And fear literally just gripped me. I felt I was going to have an accident and die from the bike. I was like, okay, God, I'm going to do it. That was the day I actually accepted to do this thing. And later I needed to realize that it doesn't matter what people say. What really matters is that I become all that God has created me to become. So, and as I told you, the value, and then as I go about and I see people struggle, and I see people, struggle, and all the things that people experience all around us, I saw the bigger picture. Why has God told me to do this thing? And that helped me to overcome the fear of opinion of other people.